Almighty and everlasting God, we thank you for yet another wonderful and beautiful day. You have been kind to us. You have been merciful to us. You have shielded us from the works of the enemy. You have protected our dear and loved ones. Lord, may your name be exalted and glorified. Who is like unto thee, O Lord? For in the shadow of your arms you hide us. For by your grace you have called your angels to hold us in their hands, so that our foot shall not strike a stone. By your grace we trample upon lions and scorpions. You are the mighty and dreadful God. Your wisdom is beyond our understanding. Thank you for all your creation. We thank you for your beloved Son, Jesus Christ, Prince of Peace, in whom you have saved the world. We pray that you continue to build in us a spirit of faith, a spirit of humility, a spirit of calmness, a spirit of understanding, a spirit of joy. In the face of adversity, may you continue to strengthen us, to continue to push forward in this challenge of life. May we, O Lord, receive your blessings in full, according to your divine purpose. As this word comes out, O Lord, may it go forth to accomplish its purpose. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Continued reading from the book of Esther, chapter 1 to 4. Queen Vashti deposed. This is what happened during the time of Queen Xerxes. The Xerxes who ruled over 127 provinces, stretching from India to Kush. At that time, King Xerxes reigned from his royal throne in the citadel of Susa, and in the 3rd year of the reign, he gave a banquet for all his nobles and officials, the military leaders of Persia and Media, the princes and the nobles of the provinces were present. For a full 180 days, he displayed the vast wealth of his kingdom and the splendor and glory of his majesty. When these days were over, the king gave a banquet, lasting 7 days, in the enclosed garden of the king's palace, for all the people from the least to the greatest who were in the citadel of Susa. The garden had hangings of white and blue linen, fastened with cords of white linen and purple material, to silver rings on marble pillars. There were couches of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, and other costly stones. Wine was served in goblets of gold, each one different from the other, and the royal wine was abundant, in keeping with the king's liberality. By the king's command, each guest was allowed to drink in his own way, for the king instructed all the wine stewards to serve each man what he wished. Queen Vashti also gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. On the 17th day, when the king Xerxes was in high spirit from wine, he commanded the 7 eunuchs who served him, Mehuman, Bigtha, Habona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zeta, and Carcass, to bring before him Queen Vashti, wearing her royal crown, in order to display her beauty to the people and nobles, for she was lovely to look at. But when the attendants delivered the king's command, Queen Vashti refused to come. Then the king became furious and burned with anger. Since it was customary for the king to consult experts in matters of law and justice, he spoke with the wise men who understood the times and were closest to the king. Kashina, Shita, Admatha, Tashish, Meris, Messina, Mamukan, the 7 nobles of Persia and Media, who had special access to the king and were highest in the kingdom. According to law, what must be done to Queen Vashti, he asked. She has not obeyed the command of King Xerxes that the eunuch had taken to her. Then Mamukan replied to the presence of the king and the nobles, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only against the king, but also against all the nobles and the people of all the provinces of King Xerxes. For the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, and so they will despise their husbands and say, King Xerxes command Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she will not come. This very day, the Persian and Median women of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all the king's nobles in the same way. There will be no end of disrespect and discord. Therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be repealed, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also, let the king give her royal position to someone else who is better than she. Then when the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all his vast realm, all the women will respect their husbands, from the least to the greatest. The king and his nobles were pleased with this advice, so the king did as Mamukan proposed. He sent dispatches to all parts of the kingdom, to each province in its own script, and to each people in its own language, proclaiming in each people's tongue that every man should be the ruler over his household. Esther made queen. Esther chapter 2. Later, when the anger of King Xerxes had subsided, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what he had decreed about her. Then the king's personal attendants proposed, let a search be made for a beautiful young virgin for the king. Let the king appoint commissioners in every province of his realm to bring all these beautiful girls into the harem at the citadel of Susa. Let them be placed under the care of Haggai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women, and let beauty treatments be given to them. Then let the girl who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. This advice appealed to the king, and he followed it. Now there was in the citadel of Susa a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin, named Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, who had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Among those taken captive with Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, whom he had brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This girl, who was also known as Esther, was lovely in form and features, and Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. When the king's order and edict had been proclaimed, many girls were brought to the citadel of Susa, put under the care of Haggai. Esther also was taken to the king's palace and entrusted to Haggai, who had charge of the harem. The girl pleased him and won his favor. Immediately he provided her with her beauty treatment and special food. He assigned to her 7 maids selected from the king's palace and moved her and her maids into a place in the harem. Esther had not revealed her nationality and her family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. Every day he walked to and fro near the courtyards of the harem to find out how Esther was and what was happening to her. Before a girl came into King Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatment prescribed for the women, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with perfumes and cosmetics. And this is how she will go to the king. Anything she wanted was given to her to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening, she will go there, and in the morning return to another part of the harem to take care of Xerxes, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the concubines. She will not return to the king unless he was pleased with her and summoned her by name. When the turn came for Esther, the girl Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle Abihail, to go to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Haggai, the king's eunuch who was in charge of the harem, suggested, and Esther won the favor of everyone who saw her. She was taken to King Xerxes in the royal residence in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Now the king was attracted to Esther more than any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti, and the king gave a great banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his nobles and officials. He proclaimed a holiday throughout the province and distributed gifts with royal liberty. Mordecai uncovers a conspiracy. When the virgins were assembled a second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. But Esther had kept secret her family background and nationality, just as Mordecai had told her to do. So she continued to follow Mordecai's instructions as she had done when she was bringing her up. During the time Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. But Mordecai found out about the plot and told Queen Esther, who in turn reported it to the king, giving credit to Mordecai. And when the report was investigated and followed and found to be true, the two officials were hanged on the gallows. All this was recorded in the book of the annals in the presence of the king. Herman plots to destroy the Jews. After these events, King Xerxes honored Herman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, elevating him and giving him a seat of honor higher than that of all the other nobles. All the royal officials at the king's gate knelt down and paid honor to Herman, for the king had commanded this concerning him. But Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor. Then the royal officials at the king's gate asked Mordecai, "Why do you disobey the king's command?" Day after day they spoke to him, but he refused to comply. Therefore they told Herman about it, so to see whether Mordecai's behavior would be tolerated. For he had told them he was a Jew. When Herman saw that Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor, he was enraged. Yet, having learned who Mordecai's people were, he scorned the idea of killing only Mordecai. Instead, Herman looked for a way to destroy all Mordecai's people, the Jews, throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes. In the 12th year of King Xerxes, in the first month, the month of Nisan, they cast the pur. This is the lot, in the presence of Herman, to select a day and month. And the lot fell on the 13th month, the 12th month, the month of Adar. Then Herman said to King Xerxes, "There is a certain people, despised and scattered amongst the people in all the provinces of your kingdom, whose customs are different from those of all other people, and who do not obey the king's laws. It is not in the king's best interest to tolerate them. If it pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them, and I will put 10,000 talents of silver into the royal treasury for the men who carry out this business." So the king took a signet ring from his finger and gave it to Herman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite. Jews. Keep the money, King said to Herman, and do with the people as you please. Then on the 13th day of the first month, the royal secretaries were summoned. They wrote out in the script of each province and in the languages of each people all Herman's orders to the king's sceptre, the governors of the various provinces, and the nobles of the various people. These were written in the name of King Xerxes himself and sealed with his own ring. Dispatches were sent by couriers to all the king's provinces with the order to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jews, young and old, women and little children, on a single day, the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, and they plunder their goods. A copy of the text of the edict was to be issued as law in every province and made known to the people of every nationality, so that they will be ready for the day. Spurred on by the king's command, the couriers went out, and the edict was issued in the citadel of Susa. The king and Herman sat down to drink, but the city of Susa was bewildered. Chapter 4. Mordecai persuades Esther to help. When Mordecai learned of all that had been done, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the city, wailing loudly and bitterly. But he went only as far as the king's gate, because no one clothed in sackcloth was allowed to enter it. In every province to which the edict and the order of the king came, there was great mourning amongst the Jews, with fasting, weeping, and wailing. Many lay in sackcloth and ashes. When Esther's maid and eunuch came and told her about Mordecai, she was in great distress. She sent clothes for him to put on instead of his sackcloth, but he will not accept them. Then Esther summoned Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, assigned to attend her, and ordered him to find out what was troubling Mordecai and why. So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the open square of the city in front of the king's gate. Mordecai told him everything that had happened to him, including the exact amount of money Herman had pronounced to pay into the royal treasury for the destruction of the Jews. He also gave him a copy of the text of the edict for their annihilation, which had been published in Susa, to show to Esther and explain to her. And he told him to urge her to go into the king's presence to beg for mercy and plead with him for her people. Hathach went back and reported to Esther what Mordecai had said. Then she instructed him to say to Mordecai, "All the king's officials and the people of the royal province know that for any man or woman who approached the king in the inner courts without being summoned, the king has but one law, that he be put to death. The only exception is this: for the king to extend the gold scepter to him and spare his life. But 30 days has passed since I was called to go to the king. When Esther's word was reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer: Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent in this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to royal position for such a time as this? Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: Go, gather together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. And I and my maids will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions. Thanks be to God.